Abby, walk us through his reaction in a little more detail this morning.
Yeah, well, Poppy, the president tweeting this morning kind of predictably about these NFL protests, saying that the players are, quote, unable to define what they are outraged about, and also demanding that they stand proudly for the national anthem or be suspended without pay. Now, this is the president of the United States, not the owner of an NFL team, but for a year now, President Trump has been hammering on this issue day by day, every opportunity that he gets to bring up this issue, in part because it's one that plays very well with his base. But it's coming at a problematic time for the president. We are almost at the one-year anniversary of the Charlottesville protests where white supremacists marched in the streets, and President Trump got himself into some trouble about his inability to address those protests and address what was wrong with the protesters, and the result of which was one of the counter-protesters being killed by a white nationalist. Now, President Trump is going into yet another weekend, the one-year anniversary, once again stoking racial divisions in this country and raising a lot of questions about whether or not this is just politically motivated, or if he has any interest really in addressing some of these racial divides that these protests these players are protesting about, Poppy.
He is at it again. For a man who claims he wants the Russia investigation to go away, well, this president can't seem to stop talking about it.
So Laura Ingraham said something that you need to hear.
In some parts of the country, it does seem like the America that we know and love doesn't exist anymore. Massive demographic changes have been foisted upon the American people. And they're changes that none of us ever voted for, and most of us don't like. From Virginia to California, we see stark examples of how radically, in some ways, the country has changed. Now, much of this is related to both illegal and, in some cases, legal immigration that, of course, progressives love.
Legal immigration, too? Did you catch the video in the box next to her? Farm workers. Subtle, about as subtle as her shut up and dribble comment about NBA players. Listen, I didn't plan, but I responded to this last night. I told you the story of my family. I would not be here if Trump had his way. And there are millions like me. My story is common. And there are millions like me. My story is common. And you know who agrees with me? Trump's in-laws, Victor and Amalia Navs.
In our national lead, the father of the man accused of training children to be school shooters speaks for the first time, saying his son must have a mental disorder to have set up what the county sheriff says was an Islamic extremist compound in New Mexico, where 11 children, ranging in age from 1 to 15, were being abused. The father, we should note, has a history of his own. He was a character witness for the convicted 1993 World Trade Center bombing mastermind. CNN's Scott McLean joins me now from New Mexico. And Scott, you have the text messages from one of the suspects.
And you know who agrees with me? Trump's in-laws, Victor and Amalia Navs.
We stand in judgment. God stands in judgment against them, and we stand on the side of truth, and we stand on the side of truth, and we stand on the side of truth.
Wahaj's father, a New York imam, spoke to reporters today. He is the first Muslim to lead a prayer in the House of Representatives. He also served as a character witness for the mastermind of the 1993 World Trade Center bombing.
My son can be a little bit, maybe a little bit extreme. When I say extreme, not radical, killing people and stuff like that. Just a little bit, sometimes a little bit, high-strung.
Better known as the parents of Melania Trump from Slovenia. They stood alongside their attorney today, who announced that their days of living in this country on green cards are over. They're now U.S. citizens. Bravo for them. Now, what the White House won't officially explain is how did those people get their green cards?
Hello, this is Ron Stallworth calling.
Well, who am I speaking with?
This is David Duke,
Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. That David Duke?
God, last time I checked. What can I do for you?
Well, since you asked, I hate blacks. I hate Jews, Mexicans and Irish, Italians and Chinese. but my mouth to God's ears, I really hate those black rats. And anyone else, really, that doesn't have pure white Aryan blood running through their veins.
I'm happy to be talking to a true white American.
God bless white America.
First of all, I got to ask you about your T-shirt. God protect Robert Mueller. Did you make that yourself?
No, but a couple of people was talking, so there's a history in this country, so I just hope that God puts his hands on him and he gets to do what he has to do to the end.
I want to ask you about this film because
yes.
I went to see it a couple of months ago, actually, and it's a period film. It's set in the 70s. First of all, had you ever heard of this story before? Because
no.
Explain what it's
Jordan
about.
Peele called me out of the thin blue sky. Have a project for you.
We found out what the White House doesn't want you to know. That's our job. A source with direct knowledge told CNN the First Lady sponsored her parents. Good for her.
That was a scene from director Spike Lee's new film, Black Klansman. It is out today, purposefully released. Spike Lee says 1 year after Charlottesville's deadly race riot. The movie chronicles the true story of a black Colorado Springs police officer who successfully infiltrated the KKK. That officer would go on to strike up a relationship with the Klan Grand Wizard, David Duke. So joining me now, the man who portrays Duke in the film, actor Topher Grace. Topher, a pleasure. And congratulations on this film.
Because that's all we are. To turn a phrase back on our us versus them friends. If you don't like what America is, you leave.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
You have been acting for quite a while, a lot of roles, but the Grand Wizard of the KKK, did it take you a minute to say yes? And once you did say yes, tell me why.
Well, I asked to do it, so it wasn't like someone asked me. I kind of hunted down the script. I wanted to read the new Spike Lee movie, and then when I read it, I thought, I think I have a take.
So what is it? In 6 words, he pitched it. Black man infiltrates KKK.
And were you like, I'm in? That's it?
Yeah, I was in. I said, is it true? He says it's true because automatically I thought the great David Chappelle.
Right, the David Chappelle skit.
Right.
But
That's right, Abby Phillip. At the same time, frankly, that Abby, he just had this roundtable yesterday on criminal justice reform and the prison population. So many more African Americans, 5 times than white individuals in prison. So as Van Jones said, the actions, we are seeing some action, but how does the rhetoric match that on this overall issue?
Today, from his working vacation in New Jersey, he tweeted an angry message with an ominous final statement. Now, I don't usually like to do too much with these tweets, but this one is notable for the sheer number of lies packed into it. Okay.
On David Duke, and when I called up my agents and said, I want to play David Duke, there was like just a long silence on the other end of the phone.
Really?
And then they said, you have to go read for Spike, because it's not like anything you've done before, and I was happy to go read for him.
And so in researching the role, I read that you watched a lot of Phil Donahue. You read his book, watched speeches.
No, it was
at something most of them are unable to define. That something is social justice. That something is something I, as a white woman in this country, haven't had to live through and deal with. This is coming from a white man, a white president, saying that these players, African Americans, don't get it?
So, just very briefly, this is a African American police officer.
Ron Stoller.
Right, first African American on this police force.
In Colorado Springs.
Colorado Springs. And
Jackie Robinson.
He sees an ad for the KKK in the newspaper, calls them up, and starts talking to them.
Hated him. I mean, Donahue was having him on as the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, and he was kind of good with the audience. And I said, oh, that's what makes this man so evil, is that he kind of rebranded racism at that time and made it more palatable to more people.
So it's set in the 70s. And I mean, it's so evocative of that time, but I mean, man, it is so timely today. I mean, that's the thing that just blows you away.
Yeah, on the anniversary of Michael Brown's murder. So yesterday marked 4 years since Michael Brown, which was another flashpoint. Trayvon, another flashpoint. So to say that they can't define it when we're living in these horrific moments of black boys and men being shot by the state, by, dying. So the fact that they are on the field taking a knee and standing and saying that here they go again.
David Duke, some of the lines he used, right? America first, make America great again, right? This was decades ago, and then this film ends with the present day and the gut-wrenching scene from Charlottesville a year ago. And I'm just curious what you think this will stir up in audiences as they leave the theater.
Well, yeah, especially in those episodes of Donahue, he used the words America first and make America great again a lot. And watching that from 2017, I mean, I don't know how many people are watching episodes of Donahue now, but it really stood out to me. And I realized why a film like this, and all films like this, are so important. If you don't study your history, they say you can be condemned to repeat it. So I think what Spike is doing is just so important.
We like to think about we've evolved and things change, and this doesn't go away. The questions of race, the divisions, it doesn't go away.
Yeah. There's a lot of money on either side. Yeah. There's a lot of money on either side.
Yeah, I mean, and this is so far beyond money, right? Thank you guys both very much.